Mr. Ibrahim Cemen. He is a professor of geology at the University of Alabama. Professor, thank you for your time. We've had quite a few discussions with geologists over the weeks. I'm curious about, because this aftershock, well, some are calling it an aftershock, some are calling it an earthquake, the 6.4 tremor. If we do happen to experience a quake larger than the original one, this wasn't such a case, but in that scenario, is it still called an aftershock?
Well, this earthquake today was almost magnitude 1, smaller than the main shocks of February 6th. Therefore, I would call this still an aftershock. And aftershocks can continue in the area of major earthquake almost about a month after the major earthquake and even longer. The aftershocks are at most magnitude 1 less than the major earthquake. And today's earthquake was also less than magnitude 1 from that 7.7 earthquake that occurred on in the morning of February 6th at about 4 a.m. So I think this is an aftershock.
Professor, based on this magnitude 6.4 earthquake, what does it tell you exactly about what exactly is happening under the Earth's surface?
Well, it is early to say, but this has happened to the southeast of the main aftershock of 7.7 earthquake and almost relatively due south of this 7.4 earthquake, what I call afternoon earthquake on February 6th in Ekinezi area. And this happened on the west side of the Hatay Graben, still in the same fault system on the Dead Sea fault system towards the Mediterranean, where actually that system joins the Cyprus subduction zone. And we talked about that in a 1990 paper, that all this Dead Sea East Anatolian fault system joins to subduction zone under the Cyprus. When we say subduction, one plate goes under another plate. Those are tectonic terms. We talk about subduction, strike slip, and also divergent boundaries.
As you mentioned the topic of plates, the UK's Daily Mail professor is reporting that the earthquake weeks ago in southern Turkiye was felt as far away as Greenland, which is more than 5,400 kilometers away, but it wasn't felt in Istanbul. Is it possible for plates so far away to be connected and not feel any seismic activity in between them? Is that possible? If so, how does that work?
Well, in geophysics and in geology, we talk about this as basically seismic waves being reflected all the way from core mantle boundary. And the surface waves and P waves and shear waves are basically penetrated in the crust. But then some of the waves go down into the earth and get reflected from core mantle boundary. And then they can be basically observed by the seismic stations on other part of the world. And I think that what has been felt or what has been recorded in Greenland is basically those reflected seismic waves that we got from the main shock. I'm sure some of my geophysicist friends right now are basically examining those waves, but that would be my initial feelings or initial interpretation of how we got the seismic waves in Greenland.
Interesting. Do you anticipate any connective shocks or quakes from what we felt either, today, the 6.4 earthquake? Do you suspect that we'll get any earthquakes in nearby fault lines?
It is possible that we will have aftershocks of up to 2 months in that area. Those aftershocks with gradually lessening magnitude and time between them getting more and more can last up to 2 months. And we observed it in August 17, 1999 earthquake. In Istanbul, there was a lot of aftershocks up to a couple months later. And there was another earthquake in November in Kaynaşlı area in Turkey. I was on sabbatical in 1999 in Ankara University. Actually, we studied the earthquake in detail, and I published several scientific papers on that earthquake.
Right, Professor Ibrahim Cemen at the University of Alabama, thank you once more, sir, for your time.